Okay. So can you tell me your name and what your business is, what you do for your customers?
Yeah. My name is Marco Martinez. I own Logicc Protection Studio. We offer customization, protection for all sorts of vehicles, ranging from daily drivers to higher end like exotics, things like that. So yeah, like vinyl wraps, window tint, paint protection film, any custom stuff, calipers, things like that. We can typically handle.
Oh,
So.
cool. Do you see people coming to you for wrap as an alternative to getting like a new paint job?
Absolutely. Yeah. The biggest thing people come in is like, hey, I've had my car for 4 or 5 years. I'm kind of bored of it. I want to change it up, make it look a little different. Um, Overall, it's cheaper than buying a new car.
Mm-hmm.
So when people come in and they get a new wrap, it truly feels like a new car.
Different
Yeah,
car.
for sure.
Do you have to do anything with the paint before you wrap it? Or just
Not
like
necessarily. As long as the body is pretty straight, no dents, stings, things like that, you do want to remove so that all the panels can be fairly straight. But rust, dents, things like that, you want to make sure that it's
or
full
scratches,
minimal.
you just kind of fill them in so when it's
Yeah,
wrapped.
scratches. I mean, even if it's like a light scratch, I mean the film will cover it.
Okay.
So it's rare when we will do like a polish. But again, the cleaner the surface, the better the bond of the film.
Okay, that makes sense. What's your most common request from customers?
As far as like services or vinyl or
Yeah, services.
services, our biggest thing right now is like a new car protection, so like Kevlar, like paint protection film, and that's also come a long ways too now. So or vinyl, it's more for like cosmetic purposes and color change.
Mm-hmm.
The Kevlar or PPF, the paint protection film, is more for like protection against rock chips, damage, scratches, and now they're kind of turning into like they're coming out with like vinyl or like colors, so you can do so you get both best of both worlds. You get your protection against rock chips and scratches, and it's in a color form. Where right now, or where it used to just be like a clear or a satin film.
With the PPF, can you do just PPF and not vinyl, just to cover the car?
No, so when we sell vinyl wraps, so we'll do the full front end like in a vinyl wrap, and then we suggest or we recommend doing the front end with clear raw also, because the vinyl isn't meant to withstand like the rock chips and things like that. Especially in Utah, our roads are crucial for that. So we recommend doing clear raw on the front impact areas.
So the vinyl and the PPF goes on top
Correct.
of that? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So if it's a gloss vinyl, I'll use our standard gloss PPF. If it's like a satin, we'll use our satin PPF on it.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Let's see. Where do you see the most wear on the wraps? Like when they come in, is like the front, the top?
Yeah, most front impact areas, like I said, especially the rock chips, all the construction we always have going on. So like the front end, the bumpers, like hood, kind of get pretty beat up. Depending on the car, like the lower areas, if it's a wider vehicle, sometimes you could tend to kick up rocks on your, to yourself, from your wheels and tires. So lower side skirts, rocker panels, things like that, pretty good chewed up.
What about ones that have come in like the top? Has it been like weathered from the top or the sides?
Yeah, so for the manufacturer, they come with a 3 to 5 year manufacturer warranty against like that weather and things like that. So on my personal car, I had it for about 4 years, and it sat outside all day, every day, 24/7. So hood, roof, you do see them kind of get weathered after that, like 4 or 5 year mark.
What does it look like?
The color just kind of cracks. So it's a 2 layer system when it comes to like the vinyl. So it's like your glue and then like your color.
Okay.
So you'll see like the color kind of like start to separate. So it just kind of has like that cracking effect.
So it's still protected. It just kind of looks a little off.
Yeah, and I mean, depending on how long it's on there, it'll still look kind of like discolor, faded, things like that. Doesn't look very good, honestly. So yeah, once you start getting like the 4 to 5 year mark, again, if it's a daily driver, sits outside, you want to start taking it off. Sometimes the glue, if it stays for too long, it can kind of be a pain to remove also.
Oh, it could be on too long. It would be an issue too.
Correct, to remove, yeah. For example, on my car, I left it on like longer than I should have, and we almost had to like sand off like the roof and the hood
because the glue was so attached.
So attached, yeah, and it was kind of It was a pain to remove.
Oh, wow.
But again, if you can get it, 2-3 years in, we've had vinyl wraps come in like, hey, like I'm gonna sell it, I'm done with it, like or I want to change the color, and we tear it off, and your factory paint is still intact.
good.
So yeah.
Okay. What are your thoughts, or what are your first impressions after seeing Aptera as a vehicle?
It's cool. It's different. Being a 3-wheel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, being a 3-wheel, kind of like the motorcycle like vibe. Reminds me a whole lot of the Vanderhall style.
Yeah, that's made here.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's cool. And then obviously electric. Everybody's going electric now, so it's cool that they're incorporating like the whole like motorcycle style to like electric. So yeah.
Cool. What are your thoughts about a vehicle basically skipping the paint job and just doing wrap as an only option for color?
I think it's good. I mean, for people that like to do like a lot of car people that we deal with, they buy a car and they want to make it their own. You know, so they'll buy a car like, hey, let's do a wrap or let's do a design. Let's change the wheels, things like that. So if you can not pay for the paint, which you're gonna cover up or things like that, it might be a good alternative for people to kind of branch out and do their own thing. And a lot of cars, for example, Tesla only has 5 colors. So if you can do something wild and crazy and different than everybody else, I feel like it'll be something nice. That way people can kind of explore and do something unique.
Yeah.
Because it seems like every manufacturer has the same colors nowadays. Like they just kind of copy each other.
The same 5 or so colors.
Exactly.
Yeah. Since the composites are generally more stronger than steel, do you see small stresses being handled better versus a steel car versus like wraps if they have like small like impact damage?
Possibly. I mean, I'd be curious to see how it holds up because, for example, steel or aluminum, I mean, it kind of withstands a little bit better, but even like on like front bumpers, which are like a plastic composite, they still do get pretty pitted.
Okay.
If you drive them for a while, like we've had cars come in that are used, that have been driving for, and it's crazy because it doesn't take much. We've had cars come in with like 3,000 miles, and the plastic on the front end, especially like a Tesla super flat, it takes a lot of,
it absorbs a lot of,
and it does get kind of pitted and chipped, and the only fix is having it repainted. So yeah, I'd be curious maybe if it's a little bit stronger material, maybe it can kind of hold up a little better. But again, that's where kind of the clear rock comes into play to avoid those kind of damage. Yeah.
Okay. They mentioned that Aptera's been testing with the 3M280 wrap. Are you familiar with this wrap?
Yeah. So that's one that we use quite a bit in the shop.
Okay.
3M, 280, and then Avery Dennison obviously is one of our 2 top sellers when it comes to vinyl wraps. But yeah, it's a good film. Again, that same thing. They have the 3 to 5 year warranty on like the flat surfaces.
Okay.
So what's going to be your trunk, your roof, your hood, that's where you have like a 3 to 5 year. On the sides, obviously you don't see as much sun exposure, like the sun beating down on it straight on. So sometimes the sides tend to last a little longer, can be a little better.
Yeah, because the way the Aptera is, basically the whole top of the car is like either solar,
Gotcha.
The back possibly glass, but only the sides are really covered with wrap, so it would last a lot longer.
And especially too with the Aptera, if it's not, I highly doubt it's going to be a daily driver or sit outside.
Well, part of it, the idea is to have it sit outside so it can charge by the sun.
Gotcha. Yeah. But where it's a side panel and the sun is not being directly on it, I mean, you may be able to get a little bit more life out of it.
Okay, because you think that would last like maybe 7, 8 years, maybe 10?
Yeah, depending on same
for the
with,
side.
Proper care and maintenance. They do have like ceramic coatings. Kind of like sprays to help maintain and hold the longevity of the coating. So yeah, with the proper care and maintenance and good protection, I'm sure we can make it last quite a bit.
So would that be like a yearly thing you would want to kind of keep up after each season?
Yeah, so with the coatings, I mean, depending on the company manufacturer you use, you can get up to like a year to 2 years on a coating. Again, a lot of manufacturers have like sprays, like help maintenance sprays to kind of keep like a UV protectant on the vinyl.
Okay.
Again, that kind of help prolong
the sun exposure,
exactly.
UV. Okay. Kind of talked about some of that. You said you worked with composite vehicles. What's different about them as far as putting on the wraps versus like a metal car?
I mean, the composite vehicles that we work with, obviously, like we mentioned before, the internals are composite, but then on the exterior, they're always been painted.
Okay.
So for us, it doesn't really make a whole difference because you still have your base and your clear. So we treat it like any other car.
So it's the same process
Same
regardless.
process, yeah.
Okay. Someone had a question for me to ask. Do you know of a product called 303?
Sounds familiar. Is there like a clean?
It's like to protect the wrap from UV damage.
I've heard of it just from being in industry. I believe they have some like cleaning products and protection products. Not too familiar.
This is another option for recovering.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you had any good or bad stories about the quality and longevity of like different wraps? Like someone asked, like chrome wraps are harder to install or more expensive.
Yeah.
Like which ones do you like or which ones should be avoided?
Yeah. So again, 3M is a big good one, a big one that we use. Avery Dennison. There are newer films that are coming out too. One's in Logicc. They're mainly only like gloss films, but it seems to be like a higher end, like more premium film. A little bit more expensive, but they tend to be. So when it comes to like gloss films on like Avery or 3M, they seem to be a little bit grainy, more like textury. Obviously, it's when you compare it to paint, paint you can sand it and get all the texture. Where vinyl, it is what it is.
Right.
With the Logicc, they have a more flat, paint-like vinyl. So again, it is a more premium product. And when it comes to chrome wraps, they are a pain to install. They're also more expensive just because of how they're made. Depending on the vehicle and the shape of the body panel, you can't really stretch a whole lot. You can start to distort like that chrome look to it. So if you stretch it too much, it'll start kind of give you this like white opaque look because you're stretching.
You're stretching the color too.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So there's a lot of materials out there. The biggest thing is always choosing something that's of high quality. There are materials that are cheaper, but again, they're not going to last as long. You can get a year, maybe 2 years out of it. The glue, sometimes they don't hold. They'll start getting lifting, things like that. So the biggest thing is we try to tell people. We have people come in like, hey, because different companies have different colors. There's a company that may have a specific color somebody wants, and they'll say, hey, can I order this material and you install it? We tend to avoid that just because if it's going to be a lower quality film, we don't want to put our name behind it. Anything that we do, we kind of stand behind our work 100% with the products that we know
that we trust.
Hold up. Somebody comes in with material that we don't really trust. It's like, hey, like we won't install this because we don't know the longevity, or we know it's not going to last. In return, you're going to be unhappy with the product. So it's like, hey, like I'd recommend doing these. And again, it only comes down to when people want like a specific color. But most of the time they come in like, hey, I want this color. We can kind of convert them like, hey, like let's look at 3M and Avery, see if they have anything similar.
Okay.
To try to get them for a better quality film.
Are there some like wraps that you just like totally stay away from?
Yeah, for the most part.
Like which ones?
There's a few. Like I know, like, and I won't say we completely stay away from, but again, you
don't trust them.
We don't trust them. So there's, God, I can't think of them right now. I know cheetah wrap tends to be like a little bit like lower end.
Okay.
But anything basically off like Amazon or eBay.
Just stay away from those.
Just kind of stay away. If it's not a reputable brand, like obviously people do their research. Anything that people come in, like even window tint from like eBay. They get the blue effect, the red effect, people come in, hey, I have my own blue window tint. Like when you install it, it's like, like we want to install stuff that we know is of quality, and we don't want to ruin our reputation either. Somebody, you go to a car show or a car meet or whatever, it's like, oh, who did your wrap? Oh, Logicc did it, and it's the film is looking kind of aged and dull, and the installs lifting and everything that reflects us, And our biggest thing is we want to put out quality work with quality products.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
are there any kind of conditions like for washing the car? Is like a car wash in general okay, or do you have to like kind of skip that?
So as far as maintenance goes, I mean, we recommend hand washing.
Okay.
Pressure washing is okay as long as you kind of stay away from like edges, things like that. Obviously,
Oh, that
automatic,
makes sense.
yeah, automatic car washes you want to try to avoid, being that those have like a high pressure. Again, depending on the angle of the
So you don't want to
pressure.
get pressure on the edges.
Correct, because it
Okay.
can potentially lift the
it.
edge.
That
So,
makes sense.
and then again, hand washing. So I mean, when you're washing it with your soap, you can mate it down and kind of control the pressure, control where you go to a car wash and these things are smacking
All
your
over.
car and causing scratches, swirls, and again potentially damage the film.
Okay.
So hand washing is kind of what we recommend on, any vehicle. But again, there's some people that's like, hey, a car's a car. I'm gonna drive it. It's my daily, and I don't care. There's some of our clients that are sort of meticulous, and it's like, hey, I only hand wash it. I spend 2-3 hours on the weekend washing it, and but then in the long run, the car looks better for long run. So.
Can you do a pressure washer? Like you'd probably want to like spray like towards the edge.
Correct. Yeah. So even at a distance, like these pressure washers, they have some high pressure.
They do, yeah.
So even at a distance, I mean, the biggest thing is before you wash it, if it's really dirty, just getting all the debris and dust off of it before you go to mid. But yeah, the biggest thing is just watching how close you are with the pressure. Again, just avoid any lifting.
But it's a little risky.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you seen any wraps that can be applied over solar panels? Like the clear, maybe, but
possibly the clear. I'd be curious to see how it affects like the solar. Yeah.
Okay. But are there like really thin options, like for like kind of like the clear bra, but maybe a little thinner?
So as far as clear bra goes, they're all about like 8 to 10 mils thick. So even then, that's pretty thick.
That would probably affect it then.
Yeah, I'd be concerned if it wouldn't really hold.
Right.
Charge up.
Like I put out a video about this a while ago. There was a friend that made like all these different kind of fan-made models of the Aptera, like for wraps. There's like these plain options. There's one like a shark or a whale. Yeah. Do you see people might be getting creative with that kind of a shape of a car?
We have people come in and they want like designs like that, so like especially kind of like the military style, like designs like the bombers on the side.
Oh yeah.
Like that. So people can get creative with custom designs. Obviously with vinyl wraps, it's like you can do like a generic one color change wrap, or you have the option to do a printed design wrap. So we currently don't have a printer in house, but we source it out.
Okay.
There's a van out here that you'll see. It's more of a commercial van, but it's all printed like company colors and designs. But yeah, we've had people come in and it's like, hey, I want design with patterns and things like that. Yeah, that's also doable.
The Aptera said like since the side of it's so thin, it's under 30 inches.
Okay.
And how wide is the wrap rolls usually?
The rolls, they come in 60 inches.
60?
Yeah. 60.
So they said they could provide cut patterns. How would that be helpful to you?
So cut patterns are pretty good. With vinyl, it tends to be tricky because it is all heat applied. And so when you apply heat and then you stretch it to kind of contour it to the film.
Okay.
Even in house, we use kind of a bulking method is what it's called. We just basically cut it off the roll and just form it to the pattern. Form it to the body panel. When it comes to clear bra, so that doesn't stretch as easy as the vinyl.
Okay.
So we do use a cut software for that
to cut it.
But with vinyl, we find it easier just to kind of bulk it.
So you overcut it.
Yeah, overcut it just off the roll. Basically, say for example, our door is 24 by 30. Then that's when we cut off the roll and just kind of form it.
So you have extra to play with. And
with like a cut file, like I'm sure it'll work, but usually that gives you the exact cut for your panel.
But it doesn't account for stretching very much.
Exactly. So if we need to stretch it or things like that, that's why we kind of prefer like that bulking method.
Okay.
So I mean maybe we've thought about it. We've had the idea of like, hey, why don't we just like plot the panels? But again, it's so much quicker just to cut it off, throw it on, and
probably less a lot
stretch it.
stressful because you know how much material you have left.
Exactly. So I mean, it possibly could be a good thing.
Interesting. So that would be more useful for the clear bra, like you said.
Exactly, and we use that on the daily basis. Like when it comes to clear bra, we do cut patterns. It just helps with quicker install. Again, that gives us, we enter year, make, and model. It gives us the exact pattern. Again, what we do more tailored custom install. So we do extend all the edges to wrap for more of a seamless look, similar to the vinyl wraps. You know, when you have a gray vehicle and you want to wrap it orange. The goal is to wrap all the edges, so when everything is said and done and closed up, you don't want to see any of the gray. So again, we do extend and wrap all the edges.
Yeah, I think with the Aptera, with like all the wrapping on the side, it probably would get a lot of rock because the body's actually higher off the ground.
Gotcha.
Like the belly kind of goes up, so I think there would be a lot of rock. So I think the clear coat or the clear bra would be
an ideal
underneath
for that.
would be really actually really helpful and like something you would never have in a normal car.
Yeah,
undersides is just hidden. On that, it's pretty visible.
You know, but yeah, if it's of like a painted or like a composite, like a plastic, definitely getting it protected with something would be helpful.
Yeah, because I think the wheel covers would be good to have the clear.
Yeah.
Because that would take a lot of impact from the road. The last question was people had questions like, can you put like magnetic things under the wrap? Like you can put like something magnetic on top of the wrap. It's kind of an odd question, but
I mean, not that I know of. So when it comes to, especially being a composite, I don't think anything's really gonna stick to it. So as far as like when we install, we use like magnets, like as a tool to kind of help hold the vinyl in place.
Okay.
But again, like we've had cars like that are, you know, composite like Teslas, like we can't use the magnets because they're maybe not Teslas, but there's some cars I came in with that are composite, and we can't use the magnets because they just obviously it's not gonna stick to it. But when you have like a full metal car, yeah, we can use the magnets, but. Yeah, it's just being a composite. I don't think
nothing will stick to it
unless it's like a decal. Like if you're doing like a sticker, or decal, package, things like that.
Do people put stickers on their wrapped cars sometimes, like on top?
Yeah, we do, especially when we do like a company car. So we'll wrap it in different colors. So say we'll do red or black or whatever, and then we can do kind of stickers on the vinyl, and it sticks pretty well.
Okay.
So again, if you want to do your company logo or design, or like we mentioned before, instead of doing like a printed vinyl, if we can print a sticker or something that's like a single color, because we can do single color like decals.
Okay.
You can put it over the top.
Oh, interesting.
So,
yeah, that's all I have. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's cool. I'm excited. to start seeing stuff. It's cool, the whole electric things. I mean, all the manufacturers are coming out. Like when you see electric cars, it looks different. It looks kind of futuristic. So
yeah.
Then when you came over with the idea and saw the renderings, like holy crap, that's cool. It's different. So
yeah, I'll definitely bring it by once I get mine.
Yeah. Is there color options as far as vinyls yet, or?
Right now the launch editions would be kind of like they'll call it Luna, which is kind of like a gray.
Okay.
Like a silvery gray, and they have white and black.
And are these going to be wrapped at the facility, or do you think they have like an aftermarket, like similar to us, where it's going to come in and...
As far as I understand, that it's going to be, I don't know if they're going to come wrapped, or if they're going to, if you were to make it, would it be easier to wrap the vehicle before it's put together or after?
It just
if
depends.
You had access to it.
Yeah, it depends. So with our wraps, like disassembly is a big key. Again, just to kind of cover up as much
the
of
edges.
the factory color and edges, things like that. So we take off like door handles, mirrors, badges, trim moldings, things like that to kind of fully tuck underneath. Because at the end of the day, you want that paint like
very clean.
Yeah.
So if you were to say something to the manufacturing team as far as wrapping it, you'd want to do it before all the panels are put together.
So yeah, if they are doing it before they assemble everything, then it will give them a much cleaner install. And it all depends on their installers too, because we have so I know Rivian is teamed up with, there's a company called Expel.
Okay.
So they offer, it's another brand of like paint protection film, Kevlar. And from what I understand, so they have like an account with Expel in a way. So you can order your Rivian and get like a satin paint protection film, give you like a satin look. And you just go to an authorized Expel dealer, and they'll give you like a wholesale like pricing deal.
Okay.
So I'm curious. That's why I asked. I'm curious if they're just gonna either wrap them in factory or have people go to shops that are authorized to install on the vehicles.
Yeah, from what I understand that they would come wrapped.
Okay.
They're not. From what I understand, they're not going to have like the paint protection film on it.
Gotcha.
That would be something I would definitely want, and you said you can put that on top
for sure
of the vinyl.
Yeah. I had a client too. He ordered a Defender 110, one of the newer Defenders, and he chose the option of a satin paint. And when it showed up, it was actually paint protection film.
Okay.
And so that either got done at the factory or the dealer, either sends it off to get done and then ships it to their client. So
gotcha.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they're gonna do. Because the dealerships here in Utah and all over the country, they install Clearbra, they install, aftermarket products like that. But again, it just comes down to an installer. With vinyl wraps, Clearbra, it truly depends. It truly depends on the installer and the quality of material. Obviously, an unexperienced installer is gonna have some issues installing with the vinyl. And it seems like all the dealerships that do, like for example Clearbra, it tends to be lower quality film and the install isn't the greatest.
Because they're trying to cut corners on costs and stuff.
And especially with dealerships, they want to make as much as they can and get the car out and
they don't care as much about the longevity of it.
Yeah. So my biggest thing is too, if they're using 2080 3M, then that's a good start. That means they've done their research, they know a good quality film. Now it's just going to come down is are their installers going to be properly trained and able to give a good quality install.
Okay.
And even then too, quality control, because even brand new cars off the lot, we get here and there's dirt nibs in the paint, scratches, swirls. So as long as they uphold a good quality control, if they install the vinyl and they see some issues, hopefully they can be like, hey, like that's not up to our standards or quality, let's redo it. That's the biggest thing. Again, manufacturers, they want to get them out, make their money, and on to the next. It's more of a assembly line type style. So, but yeah, I'd be curious to see how they come out, what their quality looks like, and see overall what it's all about.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's the first time I've heard that they're coming from factory with a vinyl wrap.
Because a big part of the cost of a factory is the paint.
Yeah.
Factory. Yeah,
paint booths, paint. Anything that comes down with the paint, it's expensive. So again, vinyl wraps, if they have multiple options, or if they say, hey, you can get a vehicle and it's bare composite, then you decide, you bring it here, go to your preferred shop, and you can do any color you want.
Yeah,
that's also a good option too. So that way people can kind of make it their own in a sense.
Yeah, the body of the composite is just actually really beautiful, and some people have actually commented, I just want it like that.
Yeah.
But the UV would be an issue with the carbon.
So you almost have to have something.
So you'd have that. Would a clear, like a paint protection film, protect the carbon enough?
Yeah.
So you still see it, but it's protected?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have...
That'd be the really thick stuff, right?
Yeah. A lot of even carbon fiber materials that people buy, like most of the carbon fiber is expensive.
Yeah.
A lot of the carbon fiber, I don't know how it's... I don't necessarily think it's like a actual like clear coat. I think it's more like a gel coat or something like that.
But it's thin.
But it's
usually
thin. It tends to fade out super fast. So people, when they buy like a brand new carbon fiber piece, cost you, for example, front lip on a Audi or what we've seen come through.
Okay.
You can spend upwards like $2,000-$3,000 on a carbon fiber lip
piece. Wow.
So, and if it's gonna fade in a couple years, you're like, that's
That's a big
that
piece.
kind of sucks, you know. So we do a lot of clear bra, and that keeps it from fading. It adds an extra barrier in the UV protection. So yeah, if it's a like a gloss carbon, yeah, definitely getting, you know, the gloss, you know, protection film, or even if you wanted to, if it's a gloss and you wanted to say, hey, I want more of a custom, we can do the satin clear bra, and it'll give you the satin effect to it.
Effect.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
it all comes down to personal preference. Some people hate the satin, the matte slick, but then some people just love the gloss. So it just comes down to personal preference. So.
Is it harder to take off the paint protection film, say if it was on just like a raw piece of carbon? Like you said, the glue from the vinyl kind of takes the paint off if it's on there like for way too long. Is the clear bra any different?
So on raw carbon, we never really installed that clear bra on it. It's always been, again, it has some type of clear coat
on top of
which, again, it grabs on pretty well.
Okay.
Same thing, the clear bra, depending on the quality of the material and how long it's been on there, once you go to remove it, you know, it can leave some residue behind.
Same issue. Okay.
Yeah. For example, it's, you know, the clear bra that we carry, so it's an S-Tech film. It comes with a 10-year manufacturer warranty against any like yellowing, cracking, things like that. However, if you do leave it on for that long, like I'm sure there's going to be some kind of adhesive left behind when you go to take it off.
Right.
The another issue is when removing even a vinyl or a paint protection film, if the panel's been repainted at some point, or maybe even from manufacturer, if the paint wasn't or if the panel wasn't prepped right before paint, it can potentially pull paint.
Oh, wow.
That's a big issue with Tesla. The paint is not the greatest. We've never experienced it, but we've seen people on the forums when they go to, you know, remove the film, say, hey, it got pitted, it chipped up, and then they go to remove the film, it's pulled paint.
Oh, no.
And it's just part of like a manufactured. I mean, you look up online like Tesla paint, and it's all over. So it's.
I've heard that a little bit.
Yeah, so it's a common issue, you know. More like higher end things for higher end manufacturers, you don't really have an issue. But again, it can happen. Whenever we remove vinyl, clear bra, we have a waiver signing like, hey, if this and it could be like, hey, maybe you're the, you know, second, third owner, so somebody at some point repainted a panel that you may not even know. We take all precautions to remove it safely, but if it pulls paint, it's one of those things that we're out of control. Like we don't know the history of the car. You may not know the history of the car either. So we have a waiver saying that, hey, if paint damage pulls paint, like we're not liable because, you know, we don't know the full history of the vehicle. So
what would happen at that point if the paint's removed? Would you just have to?
You meant like the panel just have to be repainted.
Painted again?
Yeah.
Before it gets wrapped?
Before it gets rewrapped, yeah.
Okay.
So, say if you pull paint on a bumper, I mean, most of the time you have to like repaint the whole bumper. You know,
it could just be like a primer. It doesn't have to be like a final color.
Yeah, if it's just going on like a vinyl, and we've done it before. Like we've had people come in with like a damaged, you know, fender or whatever. You don't necessarily need to repaint it as long as it's fixed and primer, smooth it out. Then you can do your vinyl. Okay. Obviously, when it comes to the point where it's like, hey, I'm done with the wrap, I want to take it off, you're gonna have that. So eventually you're gonna have to repaint it. Or if you go to sell it, like, hey, like the seller's gonna remove the vinyl, and you're gonna have
a big surprise there.
Yeah, exactly. So, but no, again, as long as everything's smoothed out, like you can put the vinyl. Obviously, clear bra is to protect the factory color, so obviously you want to have it painted again.
Okay. So, that's really helpful. So basically, what's a point where on the vinyl wrap you need to take it off before it becomes big of an issue? Like the cracking, you said, is that like a good indication that it needs to come off?
Yeah, or once you start noticing some like kind of fading, again, for like 3M and Avery, 3 to 5 years is kind of like their warranty issue, or their warranty period. Well, I would say once you start getting about the 4, you know, again, if it's a car that stays outside quite a bit, then I would say around the 4-year mark is when you want to, you know, if it's a car that stays, you know, in the garage, you know, you go to work and you're in the covered parking, and only sees actual UV like a couple hours a day. I mean, again, you can keep it on for a little longer.
Okay.
But I would say about the 4-year mark is a good safe point to say, hey, like let's think about getting it removed before it becomes a huge issue. because like I mentioned on mine, I had to like literally sand it down, and then I had to re-primer my roof, and then wrap it again, and so it became kind of a pain. And the biggest thing too is I didn't know the history of the car, and I found out when I was removing the vinyl, even on the sides, like some paint was coming off because the paint wasn't prepped properly. So I figured out, okay, well this panel has clearly been repainted because I pulled paint. So I had to smoothen it all out, and then at that point it's either get a full respray of the whole car, like paint, or wrap it again. So I was like, well, obviously the vinyl wrap is alternative and a lot cheaper, especially when we can do it ourselves. We just buy the roll and just rewrap it again. So
I guess the last question, what's the average cost for like a, kind of comparing it to like the Aptera, what would be like a small car cost?
Small car, like small sedan, depending on the factory color. Again, it all depends on how much disassembly we have to do. For example, door handles, mirrors, door trims, things like that. And then the color that you want to do. You know, depending on the color, like if it has like a gloss, or usually again, Logicc is a more premium brand, so that tends to be a little more expensive. The chromes tend to be in the higher end of the price. But starting out for like a basic color, like a satin or a basic gloss, you'd be around $400 to $4,500.
Okay.
For a full color change wrap. Again, that's fully disassembled. Again, there's people in town that can do it for like $2,000, but then again, it reflects the quality. It reflects
of it.
You know, they don't do any disassembly. They'll just cut around your door handles, cut around, you know, your door trim. They won't remove anything. They just literally slap it on, trim around it, and some people are okay with that, and some people don't really. They want that full custom look for it, you know. So in this industry, it's one of those things where you get what you pay for.
Yeah,
if something sounds too good to be true, it's I can get a full wrap for $1,500 or $2,000. You know, figure out what their install is going to be, and type of material they're using. Because, for example, a 3M roll, just the roll itself, you're looking, again, depending on color, around $600-700 just for the roll. So if they're charging you $1,500, $2,000, you know, that's not a lot of wiggle room as far as like, you know, profits, especially if they're shop based and overhead employees, things like that. There's even, you know, spots that, or places that people are doing in their garage, you know, just kind of a side work, and they could potentially do a good job, you know. But, you know, doing the research is definitely the biggest thing, figuring out materials and the install quality at the end of the day. Yeah,
if you're going to keep that car, it's worth investing in it, basically.
Yeah, exactly. If you're going to keep your car for a long time, then yeah, definitely you want a quality job. If it's something that's like, hey, in a year I'm just going to sell it or turn it in, okay, cool. As long as my film lasts for a year, that's fine, you know. But no, for sure, doing research on quality and install is the biggest thing. Because we get people coming in here, oh, so and so down the street can do it for cheaper. It's like, okay, well, you know, that's fine. But at the end of the day, like, I guarantee that
it's not going to last.
It's not going to last, or it's not going to be as good. And we do a lot of redos too. We have people come in and say, hey, so and so shop, you know, wrap my car, but I'm not happy with the install. Can you guys, you know, redo some panels? And we'll redo it, you know. But at the end of the day, it's costing them more because to save $1, they went down the street and now they either potentially got to redo it or paying us to remove it and redo it again. So it's a competitive market. There's a lot of people that, you know, people think that, oh, I can, you know, wrap my own stuff or start my own little side gig. But yeah, this industry it's becoming kind of.
Seems like it's gotten really popular in the past like 10 years.
Because people, I mean, customization with a vehicle, that's the biggest thing. People want to, like, especially with the car scene in Utah, like, growing, and there's a lot of, like, you know, car shows, car meets, and a lot of car enthusiasts, so they want to, you know, kind of do their own thing. But yeah, it's become really competitive, and it's becoming hard for like a higher end shop that we're kind of striving for to kind of compete with the lower prices. But at the end of the day, like, we're still staying busy. We're still, you know, we have our kind of clientele that still wants a quality job. But we just kind of stick to what we do, and yeah, we we still stay busy. So
Yeah, I admire that. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, thank you for stopping by, and I'm excited to see what these new cars look like.
Yeah, I'll bring it in.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sweet. Yeah.